Now, as audiences continuously migrate to content-on-demand offerings, many traditional media platforms are having to branch out into other platforms, all in an effort to reach and remain relevant with their target audiences. Major Gauteng radio station Jacaranda FM recently launching a podcast hub, which features a selection of exclusive content featuring, as you're about to hear, a wide variety of South African celebrities. It's aptly named JacPod. And here to tell us more about it is Jacaranda's General Manager Kevin Fine, alongside Dean Ulshich. He's the MD at the Halo Design Agency and one of the hosts of the Brand Famous podcast on these new platforms. To both of you, a very warm welcome. Kevin, let's start with a strategy first of all. Can a radio station these days, in a highly fragmented media market, still be a radio station, or does it need to do more?
It still needs to deliver what its main purpose is, and that's to be a broadcaster. But I think at the same time, we have to understand the shift in the way people are consuming content, the way people are behaving, the way they have access to different forms of content, both locally and internationally. So as a radio station, you have to be thinking visual, you have to be thinking about new content, and you have to be thinking beyond the current content that you're serving to your audience. Without losing sight of the fact that you're a radio station. That's your principal method of delivery. Exactly. Yeah. I think the key is to maintain what you're doing, but what we want to become as Jacaranda is a publisher of content. I don't think we want to remain as what we are. We have 5 key shows a day that we're able to deliver content on. But we can't, for example, have Ilana Africa talking about her baby brunch concept. So in order to do that, we've created a platform, and we've called it JacPod, and the name is like the jackpot of audio. 1, to put experts on the air that people want to gravitate towards, and 2, to provide South Africans with a space where they know where to go. And that's part of the problem with podcasting, is people aren't sure where to find great content. We are curators of great music, great talent, and great content, and we're really trying to impress that upon not only our audience, but audiences who haven't listened before. One of those experts is sitting next to you. So, Dean, what do you think makes a great podcast?
So originally it was what the subject matter was, but I think I've found as we've kind of gone along is who your guests are that you can get on board. It's, you know, you've got to use the names of people and keep it interesting to people who want to come back and listen to them. So we've had Brand Famous is essentially a podcast, a marketing podcast, and it's got a really interesting dynamic between an agency perspective, which is my perspective, and then we interview a lot of clients. And so Brand Famous, we've obviously, the interest is to find brand managers who look after famous brands. So we've had Margie Whitehouse, who's the CMO of SA Tourism recently, which talks about what makes this country famous and how do you market that to the rest of the world. And there were some amazing lessons that were learned in that. And I think that you used the word celebrity earlier. I don't think we're that at all. I think we're just really interested in the subject, and we're trying to find answers to that. And I think it's something that marketers want to hear a lot more about as well.
All well and good, Kevin Fine. But let me suggest to you that as interesting as podcasts are the world over, and there are some brilliant ones, as a country, we're not podcast savvy yet. Definitely not. I think part of the problem is 1, people don't know where to find good content. Secondly is the commercialization strategy. And 3rd, obviously, is the cost of data. So if you put those 3 together, you find a very immature market. However, if you start looking at those 3 and saying that's going to be the future, and there are some people who have looked at it but haven't really found the way to A, commercialize it, or B, make it popular or bring it into the popular world, we've really had to give that a lot of thought. And even if I look at the American situation, 1% of all podcasts comes from commercial radio in America. So worldwide, everybody's creating this great content. People don't know where to find it. Our thinking has been, if we can find great people and we can use our airwaves to tell people that we have this great content, they will come and find it, and they will love us for it, and they will love the content for it. We're also able to measure it immediately. So we're able to see success and failure with immediacy. And for example, Dean's podcast, or Derek Hougaard, who speaks on rugby, or Ilana Africa, who speaks on baby brunches, are amazing. So is Brent Lindeque, who speaks on good things. So you're able to, on a weekly basis, understand how popular it is and be able to present those to clients, and also to make it possible for your radio station to, as you said at the beginning, to remain relevant outside of the current borders of what your license conditions might be. Dean, are you very well aware that you're talking to a niche audience when you do this? Or, like a radio station is, while there is a constituency of listeners, it is the broadest common denominator. This is very targeted, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's content on demand, so I think the audience is looking for information about you will find you. And I think every single week it changes. It depends on what the subject matter is and who the guest on the show is. Too often marketers don't get to interact with large blue chip CMOs. That's something we recognise, and that's something that we're going to try offer with our contest. But yes, it is definitely niche. It is definitely targeted. My wife listened to a couple, and I was very surprised she did, because she's got no interest in the content.
My friend, she had no choice but to listen. Otherwise,
she listened to a few, actually. It was very surprising.
Kevin, where's the revenue imperative here? You don't make money from these, do you?
Well, I don't think anybody's really found that recipe. What we're looking to do, and without giving away our 11 herbs and spices, the way we're looking at it is how to bring clients closer to this. And I think one of the areas, not only in terms of podcast, but also in terms of visual, is that people haven't found that connection. What I do see, anecdotally, and certainly in the discussions with big CMOs that Dean's talking about, is that people are looking for opportunities to engage with audience that they can't find. Big media still has a massive role to play. So if I open the Santon Chronicle, I see big online companies advertising there. And when I turn on TV, I see the same companies. So in order to reach digital audiences, people still need to use big media, and when we connect
the trouble
the
is with podcasts, you're way off critical mass at this point. This is going to take years.
Which is not where the money really lies. The money really lies in big media still, and so our opportunity now lies in gathering all of these great content providers, so we have a foot in the door process to go and find amazing people who we've never heard of, who can provide us with great content, and then connecting them with our clients on the air and on the podcast.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. It certainly is a new wave of broadcasting. Whether it's found its feet just yet, I think the jury is still out, but the point is someone's got to do it, I guess. Thank you so much. Now, finally this week, South African photographer and director Chris Saunders from Ola Films is the creative talent behind a massive intercontinental music video collaboration, 6 months in the making. The result, as you're about to see, is a vibrant blend of street culture, fashion, dance and attitude, all shot on location in London and the Johannesburg CBD. Here's how it was done, and you can let us know what you think of this and our other stories on our different social media platforms. Until next week, goodbye and thank you for watching.
As I walk through the water, so many things I see.
The original idea was to go from London into the world and into this carnival space.
Starting in Ridley Road Market, which was a market in Dalston that is on every day. We grew up in Hackney, in East London, and it's a blend of all different cultures.
This particular culture is only originated in South Africa. So the choreographer, normally again, it's based mostly in South African movements, and it teach about the language that we speak through dance.
I think dance is cultural expression. You know, it's like you can tell a lot by a place, by how people dance, you know, and how they express themselves within that dance form. And I think specifically some of the dance cultures that are in this video.
I'm seeing all the dance moves, you know, because watching all their moves and the footsteps. Because we recorded Ladysmith Black Mambazo back in London, who are actually on the track as well. And seeing their dance moves from like way back and how it relates to their dance moves now.
This is the sickest video I think I've ever done in my life. It's fun, it's love, it's music, it's joy, it's bringing people together, it's everything, yeah. Big up.
South Africa's first choice for news. This is ENCA.